That will make a great deal of sense because sports is very important in Jamaica, but there's not a dedicated ministry and we treat it as a pastime rather than as a profession.
Yeah.
Only we give it importance when we go to places like Olympics and World Championships and the people with a whole heap of medal, and then the private sector leaders take picture beside them and congratulate them and all of that. But there's not this professional approach to sport in the country.
This episode is sponsored by J&J Garage. Top quality, cheap prices.
J Garage, we do excellent brakes and clutch repair. Pressure plates, flywheels, disc brake pad, brake shoes, clutches. Any job you have, cars, vans, jeeps, buses, trucks and tractors. Just call J&J Garage, 1-876-408-3836, 887-7504 for all your pickup and delivery service throughout the 14 parishes.
All right, welcome SportsGlobe family to another SportsGlobe YouTube video. Thank you very much for joining us, and do remember to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Again, of course, today we have an exciting conversation and discussion for you. I know one that you're going to be liking a lot, because when we talk about money, it's important to everybody, and in sports, money is really huge and big. So, we're definitely going to be talking about that, and we're going to be looking at the recent budget debate, in particular the sporting budget that was just been debated, the 2026-27 budget debate for the fiscal year. And of course, I want to look at the Ministry of Sports. Of course, the Ministry of Sports is along with gender, entertainment, and culture, but we are interested in the sports part of that budget, and that's what we want to discuss. So we have invited a friend of ours to come on. Of course, he's an esteemed financial analyst. I think he was originally at Power 106, but I think they have moved over now to we'll move over to now Fame FM, I think it is.
RJR 94.
RJR 94. Thank you, Ralston. And of course, we have the esteemed Ralston Hyman, a friend of ours for many years, and is a sportsman himself too. Not even so sure if Ralston still playing football at all, but
still playing man.
Still playing. Master the same way. Yeah, man. So welcome again, sports family, to our conversation today. We definitely want to have a look at the budget, see what kind of money in there, see whether or not sports is something that we need to keep encouraging our youngsters to be a part of, and just continue to do that. And continue to see what is in there for our people when it comes down to sports. So we have Ralston Hyman, who, as I say, is a financial analyst, and he has a program. Ralston, what's the name of your program?
Real Business.
Real Business in Jamaica, one of the biggest, financial discussion.
25 years and strong. Yeah.
25 years and going. Congratulations, Ralston. That's a milestone, half a century.
Yeah, man.
I can't remember when it just started, but definitely congratulations. So we want to look at the sporting budget in Jamaica because sporting budget come like it's a secret sometimes, and they merge so much of the ministries together so that sports kind of get overshadowed by entertainment, gender, culture, all of them kind of things. I really think that make up a sports ministry. Ralston, what you think about just having a sports ministry by itself, though, before we even jump into everything?
That will make a great deal of sense because sports is very important in Jamaica, but there's not a dedicated ministry, and we treat it as a pastime rather than as a profession. Only we give it importance when we go to places like Olympics and World Championships and the people with a whole heap of medal, and then the private sector leaders take picture beside them and congratulate them and all of that. But there's not this professional approach to sport in the country.
Yes. I definitely support that. We always treat sports as a back page.
Yeah, man.
The back page of the leader, the back page of the star, the back page of everything. But yet still is a huge industry. I understand that the budget, the general budget is 1.7 trillion or 1.8 trillion this year for the entire country.
1.44 trillion.
1.44 trillion. Out of that, Ralston, what is the amount of money that they have dedicated to sports? Not culture, not gender, not entertainment. How much of that is?
The entire ministry got only 8.17 billion. That's 0.6%, less than 1% of the entire budget.
Less
And
than a
that,
percent.
yeah, man.
It shows you the significance of two major things in that budget, Ralston, that carries Jamaica and market Jamaica in a big way without any help at all, and that's entertainment and sports. Two of the biggest drivers for Jamaica. Them say tourism, but a big part of the tourism is also the sports and the entertainment.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's correct. Yeah.
And it's less than a percent. And
this is an every year thing over the last 5-6 years. Less than 1% of the budget, and it goes for the culture, the entertainment, the gender, and the sport. That money is for all of them combined together. So it tells you how little the investment in sport is.
It shows you that they really don't care. It's really about photo up
precisely.
For the politicians and the persons that be. It's just a photo up situation that's really bad. It's worse than I thought it was, Ralston.
No, man, less than 1% every year. They don't have a capital budget, so you can build some stadium and build some this and build some not like that. No capital budget.
Oh my goodness, it is seriously worse than I even thought, man. So
yeah, man. That's why the facilities are so inadequate. There's no capital investment in the facilities. We have been hearing about the modification and expansion of the national stadium for a long time, and all know it can't take place.
Where's that money? Where the plan to get that money from?
External sources.
So is it by a loan or is it by
Yeah, they're getting a loan from one of those countries.
Okay.
But we've been hearing about this for a long time, and it's not happening. We hear that it will happen this year. Hopefully, it will.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear the minister saying that it is going to be happening this year. So a lot of the events that's supposed to be held at the national stadium is not going to be held. But I want to get down to some frank questions with you, though, Ralston, because we know that pretty much them not really care about sports and entertainment and sports in particular, even though it is a big driver. Do you think that them putting more money into the sports budget is going to help to raise the sporting profile of Jamaica?
Of course, they should put more money in sport. They should not only put more money in sport, but they should also combine sport with tourism, entertainment, because that is what we call brand Jamaica. And those are the things that are internationally competitive in Jamaica. Those are the things that Jamaica have that the rest of the world want. People don't want most of the things that Jamaica, because most of the things that Jamaica have in terms of commodities, them can't get it from other countries. But we're unique in terms of sport and entertainment and those things. And they are not marketed. Many people believe it is because those industries are dominated by the masses of the people, why they are not being given the support that they need, because it is obvious to everybody that these are the things that Jamaica have that the rest of the world wants. The creative industry, sport, entertainment, tourism, all of that together.
And when you look at an industry like sports and entertainment up against what let me ask you this first though. What is being allocated for like tourism, for the Ministry of Tourism?
Well, I don't have that number with me right now, but they got much more than the sports ministry.
Way more.
Way more. They put more emphasis on those things, and more facilities are being built in those areas than in the sporting arena. And it's short-sighted policy, because they should be combining sports. So we should have a whole lot of sports tourism taking place. Golf tournaments, track and field tournaments, and all of those things, given Jamaica's reputation. We saw them going back in the Caribbean cricketing the other day after it was suspended for quite a while. So that's a good move. Yep.
The CPL. So Ralston, we're looking at that, and why I asked about the tourism budget and how big that is. We had mentioned earlier in this conversation that sports is a big part of tourism, entertainment is a big part of tourism. Those are some of the biggest marketing values that we have for that sector. Even without them funding the sector at all, it just organically becomes a marketing tool, but the government doesn't spend any money in there. But let's look at some other matters, because I have, in terms of sports development in Jamaica though, what do you think really need to happen? Is it that government need to find money from elsewhere, or is it that government just don't have no more money to give towards sports? What do you think?
No, man, they have more money. What they need to do is to give the sector the priority that it deserves in terms of its ability to generate foreign exchange earnings and employment, and to allocate more of the budget to the sporting arena. They also need, Minister Bartlett has been consistently talking about retaining more money from the tourism sector, but that must involve the integration of sports, entertainment, and the food industry into the tourism sector, and all of them marketed together rather than marketing tourism separately, which is a problem that we have right now. And that is why we only get 41 cents out of every dollar that is spent by the visitor to Jamaica, because there is not enough attractions for them. And sport is one of the biggest tourism industry in the entire world, and we're not capitalizing on that despite our prowess in sports internationally.
Yeah. I see where Jamaica playing 2 World Cup Confederation playoffs over the last couple of days, and the amount of people that turn out for these are non-Jamaicans that turn out for the games, and the game is played in Mexico, and they look at the kind of crowd, 40,000 people turning out last week and this week for each of those games, and these are non-Jamaican people they're cheering on for Jamaica and Mexico. It shows you the kind of power that we have. Now Adidas is spending a whole lot of money putting behind our football because of the culture, and I'm sure it's not because of how great we are in football. I'm sure it's a big part of it is the culture that we bring and the vibes that we bring to any kind of a entertainment value that we bring to any kind of a stadium or games or whatever it is that we're going out there to compete in. And they would have seen that, but it looks as if that Jamaican government and even the sponsors don't see any. So one of the big questions for me though, Ralston, is that do you think that sports can really bring back revenue to Jamaica? Because a lot of people have that and say, yes, we'll go out there and we do the thing and we'll put ourselves on show. But how do we get back that money coming back into Jamaica when we go out there to perform and people love us so much? Like the 40,000 people who turned up in the stadium recently. How do we get back money coming into our economy so that the government can see real value into what we're doing?
Well, what we're saying is that the people at Adidas and those places, those people are international marketeers, and they know the value of brand Jamaica internationally to their brand. What the government of Jamaica needs to do is to recognize the importance of brand Jamaica to the country and stop looking at it in the way they are looking at it. Many of us, as we said before, believe they are looking at it in a way because it comes from the bottom of the society. So when you look at the allocations to tourism and banking and all of those things that are not generating the kind of brand that sports is generating, you wonder why. So those are things that the people at Adidas are saying. So what we need to do is to put a greater emphasis on sports development in the country. We need to build facilities. We need to promote those things. And then we'll see the flows coming back, because if you market sports tourism, then you'll get a whole lot of people coming to Jamaica. But you have to build the facilities. And that is where the things start. We have very little sporting and entertainment infrastructure in the country. And that is because of the short-sightedness of the government and the private sector. They are not seeing the value of these industries, contrary to people like Adidas and Kappa and all of those international people who recognize the importance of sport to tourism. That's the problem. It's a kind of myopic vision, a short-sightedness.
That they have. Because Ralston, with all of the jersey that non-Jamaican is buying, and the jersey is selling big time.
Precisely.
Right? Because I'm here in Canada and I see the sales. I've seen on the social spaces, everybody buying a Jamaica jersey. Whether you come from Jamaica, yes or no.
Yeah, man. Right? So Jamaica is a brand.
It is. And so what it means then, Ralston, is that even though Adidas might give us...
Hey everyone, check out this bump-free spray. It spots the grown hair to show you just one spray. It's that easy. No bumps, no irritation, just smooth skin. Get yours today.
A couple $1 million. What they're getting out of it is
much more. But I think that they're doing it. Yeah, they recognize the value and the return to them from being associated with brand Jamaica. We don't recognize it. A prophet is never honored in his own hometown. That's the problem. That's the problem that we have.
We're not connected to the value at all.
Not connected. So we're shelling out a whole lot of money on tourism. We shell out a lot of money on other industries. And we haven't given the sporting industry the chance that it needs. And that is what has made Jamaica famous. When you go internationally and ask about Jamaica, it's people like Usain Bolt and Bob Marley and all of those people. You don't hear about anybody in the banking community or the tourism community and those things. Yeah? Because those things can be easily duplicated by other countries. We'll have a competitive advantage in those things, or a competitive advantage in the creative industry, sport, entertainment, music, food, and those things. That is what is going to bring the foreign exchange to Jamaica that we need at this particular point in time. And that is why I've been encouraging the government to invest more in these industries.
So, Ralston, the government is not putting any money, but we do have a lot of sporting associations, right? Do you think the sporting association need to be doing even much more in regards to, and I know you might say yes, but I kind of wanted to give me in a financial kind of a way. Is it that they can find much more money in Jamaica, out of Jamaica, to put into their different associations, or is it that they just...
Here's the problem. Most of the sporting association, they are not entrepreneurial. They are dependent on government funding. Like the SDF and all those agencies, they depend a lot on government funding. They need more investment-oriented leadership in those things to go out there and mobilize money rather than depending on the government funding. And that's a major constraint because they depend on government to fund them. And that's a problem. So the leaders of those associations, we have to get more leaders who are more business driven to run those associations. What we're seeing, they just laid back and wait on the government to give them a particular subvention. If they don't get that, then we have a problem. Yeah, so we need a more business-like approach to sport.
Do you think these associations are structured in a way to be business minded?
No, the structure has to change. Most of these people are people who are just appointed by government to just sit down there and spend the little money that they get from government. So we need to change the structure to make them more private sector driven and to get the people who are more private sector oriented to run them rather than government appointees.
Yeah,
people who are seeing the vision of sport, people with that leaders type mindset, that kind of thing.
What do you think of boys and girls championship from a financial standpoint?
Well, that's one of the greatest things in the entire world, and we're not maximizing the return from it. Don Webby and Grace Kelly saw the value, and they have been doing a whole lot in order to promote this and make this an international event. We need to take it to the next level. We need to monetize it. Internationalize it.
What is going to take for us to get that monetized and we can see real money coming, real investment, real money, real what do you call it now? Money coming from outside into Jamaica, being an income generator for Jamaicans.
We need to export it. We need to promote it and export it and earn money from the rights associated with it. And that is why we're glad that Grace Kennedy is involved. We want to see them taking it to the next level in conjunction with ISA. It can't be just a situation that we have at the national stadium that is bigger than anything internationally in this region, and we are not maximizing the flows from it. So we need to export it.
We need to export it.
Yeah, man.
Ralston, you went to high school, you play football, you would have seen so you know the sporting landscape in Jamaica, right? Now, I have a big question for you, and this has to do with sporting careers in Jamaica. So the question is, do you think our youngsters really need to see sports as a career in Jamaica from a financial standpoint?
Well, many of them do, but they have to go overseas because in Jamaica, it's not financially rewarding to stay in Jamaica as a professional sportsman. So they have to go overseas. If you notice, most of our footballers, they go North America or they go to England. Because as we say in Jamaica, sport is seen as just a pastime, entertainment, amateur thing. It is not professionalized. We do not have that kind of professional approach. So most of the youngsters, they have to migrate or they have to leave the thing and then go find a job or something when their sporting days in high school is done.
So a youngster, they have over 2,000 youngsters competing for their different schools at Boys and Girls Championships every year. Out of that, maybe 0.5% might make it to any
the
kind
professional
of income,
level.
Yeah, any kind of income stream.
Yeah,
that's a daunting thinking.
Yep.
In regards to a career, in sports in school, and I'm not even talking about cricket because there's so much there. We're not talking about netball. There's so much there. So there's lots of youngsters, but they bring up value. And one other thing I'm thinking though, Ralston, is that they bring a value to champs. They bring a value to their school. At the end of Boys and Girls Championships or whatever the sporting event is, they don't reap anything from the valley at all. What do you think about that, though?
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, we need to encourage them, and that's the point I'm making. So by the time they have finished sixth form, they either the few who go professional, and then the majority find other professions and find work or go on to university and go into other professions which they consider to be economically viable. Because after you reach sixth form and so, there's very little apart from those who make it to the professional league. Everybody else have to just find a job. That's a problem because sport is not seen as professionalized in Jamaica.
So,
it's a part-time.
So the students them just wasting time just exercising every year and building muscle, building all kind of things, but has nothing to do with that at the end of the day.
Yeah. For the majority, it is just bragging rights to say, boy, I ran a champs and I won this and I won that. And yeah, but it's only a small percentage go on to be professional.
Or can earn from the sport any at all.
Yeah, man. There's nothing to earn in Jamaica apart from the government might say them give you a piece of land or that. There's no career path in that regard.
Do you think that well, I'd ask you about the president of the different association though, but do you think from a financial standpoint that they want to raise the bar in terms of raising more money inside the association? Well, you said they're just lazy. To bring more income to the sport so that they can serve the sport better.
Yeah, man, I think they should do that rather than just waiting on the government subvention to help them, because the government is not going to be investing a whole lot in sport, as we have seen from the budgets over the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So they need to be tapping more into the private sector, because every time we go overseas and we perform in a creditable way, the private sector leaders take out large full-page ads with the athletes and all of those things. But after that, it's over. Yeah, apart from Grace Kennedy, only Grace Kennedy has been very sustainable in that regard. After that, it's over. Yeah.
I'm kind of worried about boys and girls champs, because if Grace Kennedy decide any given year that we are going to have a problem.
Correct.
Because VMBS used to be carrying it for a long time, but VMBS never used to be spending this kind of a money $200 million. They never used to be spending that kind of a money. But what are the chances of that happening though, Ralston?
Well, that's why we're saying that we want the administration in conjunction with ISA to demonstrate the foreign exchange earning potential of the championship. Market the thing overseas so you can go to a private sector businessman and say, this is what you'll get in terms of foreign exchange earnings, presence in foreign markets if you support this event. Because right now, given the scarcity of capital, you have to convince the private sector people that they are going to get a rate of return on their money if they get more involved in this thing. So the leaders must be able to demonstrate, take it to the next level and demonstrate to the private sector why they must support this event in the current environment where capital is scarce.
This episode is sponsored by J&J Garage. Top quality, cheap prices.
J Garage, we do excellent brakes and clutch repair. Pressure plates, flywheels, disc brake pad, brake shoes, clutches. Any job you have, cars, vans, jeeps, buses, trucks, and tractors. Just call J&J Garage, 1-876-408-3836, 887-7504 for all your pickup and delivery service throughout the 14 parishes.
An association like the J3As, when we look at and ISA for school sports, when you look at these associations, they might be saying to you in regards to this conversation that look, we have big and bad boys and girls championships every year, the best in the world, the biggest in the world. Right? It is ranked number 3, only behind the Olympics, the World Championships, and then there is Jamaica Boys and Girls Championships. When it comes down to track and field. Now they will be looking at it and say, what else is there for us to demonstrate to you that we have a product that you need to put money behind.
All right. What about the partnerships that they have with their counterparts in other countries? Yeah. What they should be doing is seeking partnership in other countries in similar type events. So the thing become internationalized so that the businessman in Jamaica can say, yo, you have a partnership with people of like mind in other countries and they are willing to pay money to have this and all of that. So if I get into this space, I'll see some benefits. We haven't heard of any international partnership with something like Champs. And I'm sure globally, a lot of countries with similar events would like to partner with Jamaica, given the dominance of champs globally.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm taking. Look outside of Jamaica and try to form international partnerships.
Yeah.
Sell the thing internationally.
And then there's the politics of the whole thing in Ralston, because international people looking at us, because let's look at it. Adidas had put a huge sum amount of money on the table to sponsor our track and field program, not just to come and sponsor the team. The program in Jamaica, it was a big amount of money. I don't remember what it was, but it was a huge amount of money. It said to us, it said to any layman in the street, that if Jamaica get this kind of a money, every youngster that is in high school and thinking of track and field as a career, you know, there was a light at the end of the tunnel, because the J3s have gotten this huge amount of money, but they seem to be turning away this kind of an investment for what reason or another. Now, when you look at after all of that, a youngster is going to perform for Jamaica and he's going to say, hey, listen, when I performing for Jamaica, at the end of the day, I have nothing to get more than a medal around my neck and walk away. And he's decided now that he's going to be competing for another country. That's the whole thing. So Ralston, the money is there for Jamaica, but Jamaica don't want to collect it. So the youngsters now are looking outside of the thing.
Right. So we have to move away from the petty politics, the association politics, the local politics, and look internationally, because the thing is becoming monotonous now, where people just want to say, oh, we got champs and champs done, what's next? Inclusive of the athletes. So the leadership in the various associations, they have to start looking internationally and to try to form international partnerships in order to maximize the value of the thing. That's where we need to go, and we need to pressure them to do that. Yep.
What percentage of the budget of that $8 billion you think they could easily allocate to sports and entertainment?
Yeah, well, right now, the situation in Jamaica, the government has mobilized like $3.6 billion in international financing because of Hurricane Melissa,
yes.
Right? So they are in a position to find more money. So even that $8 billion, them could easily put that $8 billion alone in the sports ministry, have a separate sports ministry, if they recognize the value and what sports can bring to Jamaica. So it's not a shortage of money, it's a shortage of vision. They just don't have the vision. Other side and the other people talk about the importance of sports and the creative industry. The current side who is running the country, they don't see the importance of those things.
But why they're not seeing the importance of it? And we can clearly see the importance of if entertainment and sports supposed to stop right now, Jamaica is going to be losing a whole lot of revenue.
The whole place, not only that, the whole place that mash up. Because that is what keep the people going. Yeah? A man go to a party, a man go to a concert, or a man go play some ball. If you were to suspend all of those things now, you'd have a social explosion.
Whole lot of upheaval, whole lot of thing. The crime that is low in the country would have escalated significantly, right?
Precisely.
To take entertainment and sports out of the equation.
Precisely.
But what is it going to take the government to have this kind of a vision? Because they don't seem to, everybody like the thing sports, everybody like the thing entertainment, but they don't seem to be putting the money there at all. Why not?
They have not been doing so, and despite the job that Babsy Grange is doing personally, if she had more money, we would have had a stronger sporting and entertainment industry. So she is the minister that is reaching out to the majority of Jamaican people in terms of culture.
Yes.
Yet she get the smallest allocation in the budget. The whole thing is so contradictory. Yep.
You think she's doing a good job?
With the resources that she's getting, yes.
With the resources that she's getting.
Yeah, man. Less than 1% of the budget. A joke thing that, man. Joke.
Real joke.
Joke. They need to get serious. But I don't think these guys are going to get serious. The other people recognize the importance and they have been talking about it. And again, maybe it's because of the petty politics. Maybe it's because the other side is pushing it while this side say, yeah, we're not push that, we're not dealing with it. Ignoring the national interest. Yeah.
I get it. It's just a visionless thing, Ralston. When they merge the ministries, you know, I did have a problem with that.
Yeah, man, it's a joke.
You know, it is a big joke because sports is such, as you say, Ralston,
so vast,
the vision
so big.
For you to be merging sports. I can understand them trying to bring two things together, you know, but they're separate entities that need support.
Sport need a standalone ministry.
Yeah, administrative support, financial support. They need entertainment is huge. It's just as big as sports, right?
Yeah, man.
And the value that they hold outside. I mean, just looking right now, you know, here in Canada, and when you look at the Reggae Boys shirt came out, Ralston.
Yeah.
People who is non-Jamaican is more interested in the thing than me.
Yeah, man.
People who is non-Jamaican is interested in the product.
It's one of the greatest brand in the world, and we're squandering it. It's a brand. Yeah, man.
Biggest
It's a
brand in
brand.
the world.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
It's just today I was talking to a friend of mine, Ralston, and I was saying to him that it's only a Jamaican could ever pull off stuff like Usain Bolt went into the US and went into a US store, and they had to put him out of the store because of the crowd. I never see that happen I never see that happening to a US athlete ever. As great as they are.
All right. And as an example, do you think any Jamaican banker or anybody in the manufacturing sector could attract such attention?
Never, not even 10 people.
That's the point I'm making.
If they walk down the street of Manhattan,
nobody recognizes them.
Nobody there. No.
That's the point. That's the point I'm making.
You're saying as a non-American went into a store, come out, and go in a store, and the man them have to put him out of the store because they can't deal with it. The crowd was humongous. And that's the nature of the brand that we have.
That's the point.
So I can't get it when government put less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
And they need.
It's an every year thing. For the last 5 years, it's $6 billion. So even what they got now is an improvement over what they got over the last 5 years. It's a joke. Not serious.
Is 100,000 people come and fill up the stadium in Ralston. Year. 100,000 people come to see Jamaica on show year to year, and we never maximize anything from that at all. We don't even understand how to leverage it.
Yeah, man. You're not serious, man.
So less than 1%, Ralston.
Less than 1%. 8.17 billion.
I really appreciate you coming and just sharing that bit of information with us, because I was kind of worried, what kind of budget it is that that sports get. So maybe there's the reason why they stay so quiet about it too.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Because they're not funding it. They're not funding it. No.
Really appreciate it, Ralston. We need to link up some more and get deep into things. Because there's a whole lot going on. There's money going around the building of the rebuilding of the stadium and that kind of thing. How that is going to work and how it's going to happen. But thanks a whole lot, Ralston, for coming on board. You just want to thank all our SportsGlobe fans and friends. Thank you, SportsGlobe family, for checking out our video again. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the video. And we do appreciate all our subscribers and all the comments that we get, and we always try to share and just talk back to you in regards to those comments. So keep us going, and we're trying to get to another milestone to reach 25,000 of you who watch us and listen to us. We're trying to get to 50,000 of you liking us and watching us and listening to us. So help us to get there again, and we definitely want to keep it going. So sports, it is our game, it is our culture, and it's our globe. So let's participate in it and go out and fill up the stadiums and stuff. Ralston, big respect.
Blessings.
Thanks a whole lot.
Yeah, man. Every time. Yeah, man. All right. Blessings. Yeah, man.